Speaking of pushing people out, and since we were talking about Conland, I heard over the last week or so, is it true? I find this hard to believe that they've actually released people over there in AEW land. I mean, this doesn't really happen usually unless someone is going to be on the next episode of Amazing Discoveries with Robert Stack or something as a fucking guy with 16 bodies buried in their fucking crawl space.
Well, that's right. AEW made, I guess for the first time ever, just a group of releases in one day, similar to how WWE had just done it. We just did a segment talking about all the people that WWE just released.
Well, yeah, but they've done it before.
That's right.
And they'll do it again. And they've been doing it for years. But again, you almost never hear of, we actually let this person go. Now, people disappear. We talked to one recently that disappeared. I don't know whether that means that they're gone as far as on the payroll, but there's a lot of people out there in limbo, in the phantom zone. You never hear about anybody really getting released unless there's been a few in the past that have just committed egregious crimes against the state.
Well, the names that AEW released are not big surprises. They are names that people assumed, in some cases, wanted to leave. They are names that people assumed Tony Khan refused to release because he knew they wanted to leave. I guess Tony Khan would rather keep people off TV than have them on TV doing jobs or anything. And in the case, maybe not everyone wanted to do jobs, but let's talk about the first name. Miro, 39 years old, has been released finally from AEW. He posted a picture on Twitter of him. I think he posted it, or Sheamus posted it. It's him and Sheamus hanging out. So he's back with his old gang. But Miro...
Wait a minute. Yeah, that could be, completely unrelated. Do we know if news of Miro's release has made it to Miro all the way in fucking Bulgaria?
Well, we don't know if he's still in Bulgaria, but...
He was there for a while he was still under contract getting paid.
Miro was a guy who AEW immediately brought in, and although AEW fans tried to defend it, if you go back and look, you immediately called it out. He showed up wearing pajamas. It looked like pajamas. I don't care how much it cost. He didn't look like a star. And he was involved in a feud where him and Kip Sabian love video games. And they were I don't even remember who they were feuding. Who'd they feud with?
Oh, who knows? And the Penelope was there with them as their little sidekick, and it was so childish. And they were all made to look like buffoons. And remember when they had a fight with supposedly in an arcade, but they tipped the video game, the big stand-up video game over. It was empty. They were just prop shit.
Yeah.
That was an early example of their bad television special effects. And then that went on for so long that he just became a rib. And by the time that at that one point that they kept him off for a while and it brought him back as a beast and a monster, well, that was getting over. But then I guess that was all part of the plan, Smithers, that he wanted him to sign his wife too, so they could do that odd angle that he'd been talking about in promos where he was mad at God and his hot, flexible wife. I don't know what the fuck. It never went anywhere because the booking didn't get behind it. And then when they finally did bring her in and start doing something, they weren't together, they were apart, but we never found out the resolution of that because I don't know what happened first, but then they end up firing her, and then Miro and what's he broke up. And then, and now he got released. He hadn't wrestled there in a fucking year.
And reportedly there were problems with him not being happy with the creative that he was given, so his solution was to not do anything.
Well, but I'm wondering, I wouldn't have been happy at all with the creative that I was given if that was not his creative when he came in working with Pip Sabian and the fucking video gang. But if they started his other shit if that was his shit, it never really made a lot of sense and it never went anywhere while they had the chance. And then they fire the wife. And then what the fuck is going? But at some point, if you're going to pay a guy to live in Bulgaria for a year, he has to come in here and do something, brother, because I'm sending you the checks. You ain't taking me the bumps.
Looking at it from the other side, from the WWE side, because everyone presumes that's where he's going. If you're WWE, does he retain the same value he once had? Do you see him, because he hasn't been on TV, as someone you can kind of give a fresh push to? Does he have any stink of AEW on him, or does it not matter? What do you think of your WWE? Does he return to being Rusev, or does he keep the name Miro, which is his real name?
Well, but they're probably not going to let that fly because that would be something they couldn't trademark. Here's the thing. It's been so long since that he's been on AEW television, and the last run he had, he was basically just beating people up. I don't remember him getting beat a lot. He still didn't wrestle a lot at that point besides throwing people around. So, and the audience for the WWE, especially now, is so much larger and all that. The question is he one of these guys that wants to be involved in creative regardless of, where he's at? Or was it just because this place was such a madhouse, you want me to do what? I listened to you about Penelope and the whatever the fuck. Whatever his issue there was, if he is a person who will go into the WWE and say, yes, sir, that's my baby, and no, sir, I don't mean maybe, then I'm sure they would probably investigate bringing him back, because it's another fresh fucking monster. They're firing on all cylinders, whatever. But if he's a problem child in general who wants to be, the producer, director, fucking star, then they don't need him. So he might be back in Bulgaria. But that's just me.
We shall see what happens with Miro. Again, he's someone who has been under contract and not around. I mean, the big story is that they made releases and they released people in a group, or at least it came out publicly as a group release. But Tony probably should have done this specifically for Miro a long time ago. I mean, paid him for no reason.
Yeah, and I mean, if Miro was happy with it because he got to go to Bulgaria for an extended paid vacation, and how much money must his contract be, because he's another guy that had a WWE reputation that Tony got and he could play with, that brand new toy. And so is he made $500,000? Is that low? Who knows what the fuck per year to go home and visit his Bulgarian relatives and get over the loss of his hot, flexible wife.
Hey, real quick, just because I'm looking through the new Observer that came out, let me just get your thoughts on this on Miro. I'm looking at this story as we're talking about this. It was pretty clear Miro wanted to do an angle with his wife, CJ Perry, since he referenced her all the time in AEW promos before she started with the company after she was let go by WWE.
Yeah, it was God and his hot wife is what he got across most of his promos.
WWE had contacted Perry about returning as a wrestler starting in early 2022, but both believed from their booking mentor that they were better off together, either as a team or as rivals, both of which they did in WWE. Miro got Tony Khan to hire her with the idea of a storyline where they were separated and would be apart, but in the end, they would end up together, trying to revive the Rusev-Lana dynamic that was the high point of both of their careers at the end of 2023. He was also injured and went back to Bulgaria for a few months. And then, soon after she turned on Andrade at World's End, neither were ever seen again. They were apparently under the impression that they would reunite and the pair would be pushed to the top, and that never happened. Those close to him said he was constantly pitching angles for the two of them and not getting anywhere, and then they let her go. So that made things worse. And in August, he made it clear he wanted out with the firing of her and not following up on the angle. So he had been trying to get released since then, and there had been no talk in months regarding him returning to television. Again, he's going back to WWE. Lana's a free agent. They're divorced now, but they still want to work together, apparently. And everything he does, he wants to do it with her. And his booking mentor, whoever that unnamed person is.
Well, that's what I was about to. What is that vague, shrouded comment? They're booking. Who would be the booking mentor of Miro? Because I didn't follow him earlier on in his career.
I mean, he came from, wrestling school. Did he go to
was he some Heyman pet project? Is that what Dave's vaguely referring to, his booking mentor?
Can you see Heyman saying that? Can you see Heyman saying that the only thing for you to do is work with CJ?
Well, no. Well, I mean, it depends on whether that's what Miro wanted to hear and Paul wanted to fucking get rid of him. I don't know what their relationship is. Paul could say anything to anybody if it fit his interest. But
yeah, that's a great way to sabotage AEW. No, that's not a good idea. Anything you do, you have to get her involved. Just start doing promos about her.
Definitely. Don't go anywhere without her. That's the key to success.
She was more over than him when they started doing. I mean, it's all a mess, but we'll see what happens. More to come in the WWE, but this is your show.